Hi and welcome back to my channel. We are going to be going through my cookbook collection where I'm showing you all of my favorite cookbooks. Recently was downsizing some more and I had gone through ones and I had sold or got rid of ones that I knew I didn't use very often, where it was maybe like, just one recipe in there that I really liked. And so all of these cookbooks are my absolute favorite that I use for all of my keto, paleo, or Whole30 ways of eating. Before we do that, can you please hit the subscribe button so that you get notified for my upcoming videos? And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button as well. All right, so let's see what we have. First, I'm going to show you something that's becoming more and more popular. I actually did this. I did my first Whole30 back years ago. It was probably in like 2014 or something like that, so maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And the first time I did it, I had great progress. I actually had lost 9 pounds in just 1 month. Before that, I had been gluten-free, but I had never taken the step to be like fully paleo and completely dairy-free. And then especially with taking sugar out of my diet, I think that's why I had lost so much weight in such a great amount of time. The Whole30 book, which this is the actual 30-day guide. This is filled with like what is the Whole30 and how to do it, the rules that they have, or the guidelines, I guess. And then it also has in the back, it has the recipes. So it does have some recipes in it, which is, I keep it because it's a really good book for, when you're first starting. So this was a really good first book to start with. They came out with the actual Whole30 cookbook. And this one actually just came out just this past December. So it's not even a whole year old. And so I did get this one because I do love, I loved doing the Whole30. I had done it multiple times actually. I've probably done it like maybe 9 or 10 times. And so yeah, this is just completely filled with a whole bunch of paleo and Whole30 recipes. So both of these books are great if you are doing the Whole30. If not, they are also really good for some fast and tasty dishes. This one is great. This is not a cookbook. This is a book about, kind of figuring out your eating habits. And she talks about maybe even doing like the full Whole30 or maybe different types of a Whole30 in order for you to get to the food freedom forever. And so this book was great about how like, you don't need to diet all the time, and if you take a bite of something, like, oh well. She talks about like if they went to like New York and there was a really, really great cupcake shop, she would sit there and think, okay, like, I can have this cupcake if I want to, so I just have to decide, is it worth it not feeling as great afterwards? Yes, okay, then just have the cupcake and go back to eating healthy after that. And so that's one of the things, is like we all are prone, or a lot of us I guess are prone to like binge eating kind of thing, where it's like, oh, like if I have this one bite of cupcake, that means I have to eat all 24 cupcakes. And I mean, I know that I've felt that way before, and I've been trying also just with keto to kind of get in that, like, over the weekend, okay, I tried to eat keto most of the time. Maybe I didn't. Had a couple bites of ice cream. Oh well, that's fine. Like I still went back to eating keto. It wasn't like, oh okay, like weeks have to go by before I can get back on the keto train again. It's actually a really good book if you are struggling with something like that. Well-fed book. And this one is a lot smaller than her other books, but it still has some great recipes. I think out of all of my cookbooks, I have cooked out of the well-fed cookbooks the most. For somebody that, you don't really like cooking very fancy recipes, she does all of her prep like on a Sunday in just an hour, I think it is. And so what she'll do is she'll like steam saute like a whole bunch of different vegetables, and then she'll cook a whole bunch of different meats like chicken thighs and ground beef and stuff like that. And then she puts them in the fridge where they're like, well, the meat is all the way cooked, but the vegetables are just like not quite there, where it would be a couple more minutes till they're finished. And she has what these are called hot plates. And so what you do is you can pick like, oh, are you hungry for like Chinese or Italian or whatever? And so like, for instance, under the Italian, she'll have like, okay, like do ground beef, do some tomatoes, zucchini, and black olives, and then the pizza seasoning. And literally you just cook it for, you know, fry it in a pan, I think for like 10 minutes, I think are the directions. And there you go. Really, really helpful when both my husband and I were doing a Whole30 together, fed. And so this one is a lot bigger and is also filled with, oh, I made these plantain nachos. They're amazing. I've made so many of these recipes. This deconstructed gyro, so good. Or gyro, I guess. Yeah, and so then she has like, oh, all these different like burgers or meatballs that you can make. And I put the well-fed weeknights in 45 minutes. So her other ones will like range. Most of them I still think are pretty short. These are all 45 minutes or less. And again, these are like, it's a big, big book and with stir fries. This book is falling apart, I guess, because I'm using it so much, but with the stir fries, like she has the basic like steps, but then she has all these different like stir fries where they're just a couple of ingredients, but I think I've made almost all of these and they all are amazing. There's her hot dog section. Like, it just looks so cool and it's just so awesome. Most of the recipes, probably all of them, have in here like, oh, if you're doing a Whole30, like take out the coconut sugar or something like that. And so all of these well-fed books are great if you're doing the Whole30. Paleo takeout also, he doesn't have the Whole30 things in here. Go on his website, which is The Domestic Man, I think. He has like a whole list of, okay, if you're making this recipe in my paleo takeout book, then this is how you can make it Whole30 or AIP if you have an autoimmune disorder. So I really like that he does this. But this has been one of my favorite like Asian cuisine. I mean, he has so many different things like beef and broccoli. It's all, yeah, like paleo takeout, exactly is what it is. And so even in the back then he has some like other types. So it's not all like Chinese. It also has like pizza and like burgers and fried chicken in a bucket. Anything that you could get at a takeout restaurant. So his flavors are great because he has traveled to all these different places. And this book, it does have Whole30 guidelines in it as well. This book I have kept because one day I would like to maybe, you know, grow your own food a little bit or maybe have some chickens for some eggs. And so I love the ease that they have. Like they'll tell you like, oh, you know, this is how the little coop that you can get. And they just kind of tell you like, if you want to get a pig, like this is how it's easy to raise a pig in a small amount of land. And so I really just love how they tell you like, oh, space requirements, like this is what they need or this is what you have to feed them and their behavior. And so I really, really like this because one day I would like to be able to do this. I've always wanted to raise bees, and they tell you that you can work a 40-hour job and still raise bees. It has recipes, and they're all by season. And so I also really like that because I would eventually like to start eating seasonally. If you are doing AIP, I do have one book that I particularly liked for that because I did try it out. I wasn't sure if it was something I needed to do. And this Nourish is the best one that I found. Some of the recipes I actually would still make in here. And so that's why I kept it, even though I'm not quite doing AIP, but like these Swedish meatballs are amazing. I have this Mediterranean paleo cookbook, which is really good if you're into Mediterranean food. I like to have cookbooks that don't, you know, they're just not all the same, like, you know, meatloaf and cauliflower mash. And so yeah, this one has some pretty good ones. There's like a cumin frittata in here that's really easy to make. And they teach you how to make paleo pasta, which I haven't done yet. And I'm South Paleo Cookbook, which again, I mean, I just like having like different cookbooks so that it's not all the same. And I've actually made some of these recipes for Thanksgiving just a few years ago, and everyone loved them. Like I think I made, it was a green bean casserole in here, this chocolate chip Georgia pecan pie for Thanksgiving. And I mean, it's just amazing. It is so yummy. And so the recipes that I've made in here, like people didn't even know that they were paleo recipes. And One Pot Paleo, this has some great recipes, especially if you don't like washing a lot of dishes. I've made actually multiple of these, and when I went to go visit my sister a couple weeks ago, like I had made some recipes from here as well. And so this has been a great, just easy recipe if you just like some smaller cookbooks and you don't like really big ones, or if you don't want to make like fancy things like paleo pasta. This one is great just to have something to eat like during the weekdays all the time. This one's one of my favorites, this balsamic sausage and veggies. Bauer's paleo cookbook. She has a really good, oh, you can see I used it a lot and there's food on it. This pancake recipe is the one that I use anytime that my husband wants pancakes. Like it's been, of all the pancake recipes I've tried, this one has been our favorite. And so this is the one that I make for him. Oh, and her pizza crust recipe. I love the pizza crust recipe. Tina Walker, she has the Against All Grain series, and I actually did, when I first went paleo, I actually started out with all of her Against the Grain books, but with getting more of these cookbooks, I actually have, I think I gave her old ones to my sister, because I didn't really cook out of them anymore. And so I actually got, this one was her new one, and I got it because it's about celebrations, and so everything is like a menu that has to do with whatever holiday is coming up. So she has like a summer shower, she has 4th of July barbecue, a birthday party, and so during Christmas time she has these like ginger snap cookies, and these are amazing. They were really, really good. And I even like, I didn't make them as circles, I used like cutouts, so they looked really, really cute for Christmas time. And so this was a great, great recipe. She has like gingerbread house, I think she has like a pumpkin spice latte in here, I think she has eggnog. I actually made, it's dairy-free eggnog. And so yeah, these great recipes for if you like to cook around the holidays, and they're all kind of like for the holidays instead of having to search all your cookbooks. And this is Clean Eating with a Dirty Mind, and this is pretty much filled with all dessert recipes. So I use this as my main like gluten-free and paleo like cake making or cupcake making or dessert making for my family, like when their birthdays come up. And so this is just amazing, and I made my husband that, and it was just really, really good. And so some of her stuff is or can be made dairy-free, and I'm just saying there are some savory ones in here, but most of them are desserts, and she tells you how to like icing a cake and stuff like that. Ice cream, bars, cookies. For keto, you know that I'm really into keto, but I didn't want to get too overwhelmed with keto books if it was, you know, a way that I didn't really want to follow. And so watch my other videos. You've seen this book, and this is the first book that I got when I went keto, and this was the whole reason that I went keto, because she believes in eating in a whole foods paleo based way of keto eating. And since I was currently paleo before and I believe that way, I was so glad that I found a keto book that was like that. And so all of her recipes in here are dairy free and, you know, paleo based. And what I really love is that the whole like first like section of like this much is just information. Oh, and even like meal plans and stuff like that. So like this much. And so then she has recipes in the back. These are actually great recipes. I've made almost everyone in here since I was following this book for the first like 2 months, and it was the only like keto recipe book that I've had. So this is a great one, and I definitely recommend, especially if you're first starting out on keto. The information in here is vital to being able to do it. This is the only other keto book that I have. I got this one. It does have quite a lot of dairy recipes in it, but I got it because of the restaurant favorites. Again, I don't just want to have the same thing all the time. So it starts out with like Chinese food, and then it goes to Italian food, and all these recipes are really good. I've made a lot of these. And then it has Mexican food, and it has some like Thai and curries in the back, and then it does have like American like cheeseburgers and stuff. She's made a lot of them. So there's a comfort foods one that looks really good. The only problem with these is if you're dairy free, there There are some recommendations for, non-dairy items in here, but it's just easier sometimes when you don't have to sit there and find like a dairy-free cream cheese or whatever. I hope that, you got a little glimpse into the cookbooks that I really, really like. Comment below if you have any paleo, Whole30, or even keto cookbook recommendations for me. I'm still looking around for maybe 1 or 2 more keto cookbooks. I hope that this has helped, so thank you.